don't know of anything that'll get into a venue and get set up to rock faster than that setup will. Hi, I'm David Lee from BASSBOSS, and this is the AT212. The AT stands for Attuned Top, so this is a mid-high cabinet. It does get down to 50 Hertz, so it does a decent job of adding some impact, but it is really intended to be used with a subwoofer, and it is a dual 12-inch two-way cabinet, so 2 mid-woofers and a high-frequency horn. So the AT212 is intended to be a loud, high-output, exciting loudspeaker. What we get is the 2 mid-woofers getting 2400 watts. That means that you can put a lot of SPL out with this box and a large 80 by 60 degree horn that's rotatable. So this box can be arrayed. I recommend arraying them in groups of 3 so that you get nice even coverage across a large area if you need that kind of SPL. This box is loud though. It'll do 136 dB. So it's pretty significant. Peak SPL is 142. So it'll get up there and create some crowd excitement when you have these things out. You need a fair number of subs to keep up with this thing. So we recommend at least 2 subs, at least 2 VS21s or 2 SSP218s as a starting point to be able to utilize it at its capacity. Bear in mind that if you don't use it at its capacity, it doesn't need to be all the way up. You can use 1 sub with 1 top and you just won't be at its limit. These are the things when people ask about how loud does it go or what can you do with it? It really depends on how hard you're willing to push it and how those things work in the context of the genres that you're trying to reproduce. Nevertheless, when you want to get some rock and roll excitement, if you've got some good old lead guitar going or something like that and you really want to get some sound out in the crowd, this is a great box for it. How much SPL it does is a function of how efficient these drivers are. These are 3.5-inch coil neodymium motor drivers, and that's a 3-inch coil neodymium motor compression driver. That's an aluminum horn, and that is a birch cabinet with bracing and plenty of rigidity built into it. There's braces between the drivers. There's a port. It's a vented direct radiator. Like I said, its function is from 50 Hertz up. It has handles on both sides. And on the back, it's got sort of wings, I guess we'll call it. They extend beyond the amp panel plate to protect it from, if it ever did get dropped or fall over, the wings will protect the electronics. And so it also makes sure that nothing is touching the back of the cabinet and touching the amplifier, so it ensures that it keeps cooling. Speaking of cooling, there are fans inside on the amplifier so that if it gets up in temperature, the fans will kick on and keep it running. And it has the 2-channel active cross amplifier in it. So it's 2400 watt channel on the woofers and an 800 watt channel on the tweeter. Now you're never going to use 800 watts on a tweeter, but it means you've got a lot of headroom and you're never going to run out of power on the high frequency. On the low frequency, you can see how 2400 watts will give you plenty of output on these dual 12-inch woofers. So yeah, like I said, if you need to get some shout out there, if you want that lead guitar to just scream, this is a great box for that. And that gets the crowd, yeah, the low end, that's exciting. But when you can really put it out with a box like this, it's a great combination. And I can't think of anything that's under 100 pounds that'll get close to the output that this thing will give you. And it is nearly bulletproof. I mean, with the balance of the power and everything in this thing, it's so solid and it's never really working all that hard that it can do this day after day, night after night, month after month, year after year, and it is a right workhorse. When you stack it on a couple of the subwoofers or a Kraken or something, you can roll it into the venue, stand it up, plug it in, ready to begin. Done deal. So great practical workhorse box that will really make you sound bigger, but it makes it super practical because you can move it in smaller vehicles with a smaller crew. It just makes you sound good, makes you look good. So something you might want to know is, what can you combine it with in terms of subwoofers? Well, obviously the easiest thing to combine it with is some BASSBOSS subwoofers. So all our subs are intercompatible with each other, but all of our tops are compatible with all of our subs. The first one, I guess we should say, that it was intended to be operated with was the SSP218. That's the rock and roll workhorse, right? You put two SSP218s on a cart, you lie this down on top of that cart. You can roll it into just about any venue, stand the top up on top of it. That gives it a little bit more height. It gives it about 8 feet 6 inches to the top of that stack. And plug it in, ready to rock. We have locking mechanism, a little pole that you stick into the pole socket on top of the sub, pop this on it, it stays put. You're done. When you're done, you just lie it down and roll out the venue. So that's the first thing that you could do with it. The next one would be, the next one up in scale would be the Makara. It's the same dimension as the Makara, so it can ride the same way on 1 or 2 Makaras. Always more is better, but you can roll it in horizontally, stand the Makara up, stand this up, and you get effectively the same height. So you then have a slightly smaller setup, but if you have 2 Makaras, you can do the same thing. Roll in, stand this up on top. You get a little bit more elevation, about another 6 inches in height, and a little bit more, maybe more than a little bit more SPL out of that setup, and deeper low end if that's what your genres demand. Obviously, you can stick this on top of a Kraken. That's always fun. It's a bigger brick to move around, but you can't say it's not fun, right? We've done that several times. It's kind of a fun way. You just roll in a Kraken and a 212 and party's on, man. The next thing is that you can obviously go smaller, that you can get with the VS21. So always, this stop box is so loud and so capable that you're going to want a few subs to keep up with it. At least 2, something like VS21 would be a good starting point. Now, not to say you can't use it with 1, because you can not use all of its SPL capabilities. The point being that you would need more than 1 in order to give you the low end that you would want to match that level. And of course, everybody wants anywhere from 3, 6, 9, 12 dB more low end than top end. And with the output capability of this box, it's going to take quite a few subwoofers to keep up with it. So 2 or 3 VS21s is a good place to go. And that again gives you more elevation. You stick 3 of these on top of each other, 3 VS21s up, that's 6 feet. Now you've got a 10-foot stack. Now you can get some sound out over an even bigger area. And so that's another application. I have folks who are using this box with a pair of SSP 118s under it. It gives you the same stack height as 2 18s. It's a little less low-end power, but a lot smaller of a sort of building block to work with. And everything else works the same with that. And of course, with multiples of those, you can distribute them around. So you can have 2 on the left, 2 in the middle, 2 on the right, or 4 in the middle, or however many you need to do to use to get that coverage and smooth that coverage out if you want to break it up into smaller pieces. As far as other subs, you can use it with DJ18s. I actually have a customer who loves to use these with his BB15s. Gives him everything he needs. So that's a, hard rock metal band who wants more of the lead guitar than the subwoofer, right? So it does so much for so many that there's really no combination that doesn't work. It just really depends on how you want to make yours, how you want to create that soundscape. And so, the thing about this box, getting it up high, putting a larger number of subs under it, and really get in a venue, for instance, you can fly them above a stage, you can fly them horizontally, and then you can put any combination of subwoofers under that. And like I said, and we keep trying to keep people aware of, is that the integration between the subs and the tops is basically impossible to get it wrong. You will never get them canceling each other if you just put them effectively on top of each other and just pick the preset that you like. This box is best utilized elevated and angled down. It is, like I said, it has a rotatable horn, so you can fly it horizontally, but it's intended to be used arrayed in this configuration vertically. So you put them side by side. You can also fly them upside down. They have fly points on the top and fly points on the bottom so that they're utilization is facilitated in that orientation, but you can also just grab it from the 4 points and hang it horizontally. The box was designed originally to complement subwoofers, and if you look at its dimensions, it's 47 3/4 inches, effectively just about 48 inches, 4 feet tall. And that is a common dimension with the SSP218. And so what it makes for is a very convenient package when you put two SSP218s on a wheel cart and then you put this lying on top of it. You have a system that you can roll in, stand the top up, plug it in, ready to rock, and rock hard. This thing will really put it out there, and you get it that low end support. This is a Workhorse, it's a road warrior, and in that configuration, don't know of anything that'll get into a venue and get set up to rock faster than that setup will. Beyond that, it's self-powered and self-processed, so it integrates with the subs easily. And I'll go so far as to say that it integrates with all the subs that we make. So yes, you can use it with BS21s, you can use it with ZV28s, you use it with anything, but basically you can mix a great top for a Kraken, by the way. One Kraken, one of these, you got a show. And that is common in the dimension too. So this can ride on top of the Kraken. It's a 4-foot dimension. It's a even more wicked fun setup than the double 18s, but there's fewer doors that it'll go through. Just bear that in mind. It's a bigger brick. So yeah, these things are kind of integrated with each other so that they roll in, plug it in, ready to begin. Easy to do. You can, like I said, you can use this thing down to 50 hertz. It has 8 presets built in through the push button access on the back of the unit. And that means that you can go from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 to 90, etc., and reduce the demand for low end on the woofers and get more SPL out of the mid-range section. And the two 12-inch woofers can put a fair bit of sound out there to a relatively large crowd. And again, people say, how many people can you cover with 1 or 2 of these? Quite a lot, but everybody's idea of how much is enough changes. You can go anywhere from 300 to 1,000 people with a pair of these, depending on the genres and how high you have them elevated and what you have underneath them. So it's a very versatile box, and it is 99 pounds. So it's really not heavy to move around. It's relatively easy to put up and down. It may be more than a one-person lift, but it's not unmanageable. I mean, it can be done with one person, particularly if you learn the tricks of flipping it over and you don't have to deadlift it. We make a short pole that allows you to put that pole in the sub, and that pole goes into the bottom of the top, and then the top is secured to the sub in a fashion that you can't knock it over, it won't walk around, and it will stay put. And that's great for when you're stacking. If you stack 2 VS21s, one on top of the other, and then a 212 on top, you have a platform that's effectively altogether just over 8 feet high. And that's a nice place to start for a box like this. If you have the opportunity to fly it, like I said, that'll give you even more coverage option. You can get it up higher and cover an even bigger crowd that way. It's very, very versatile box. It's a great scalable box where you can grow from this into something else, and you can just add 2 or 3 more each side, and they get very loud. So great practical Workhorse box that will really make you sound bigger, but it makes it super practical because you can move it in smaller vehicles with a smaller crew. It just makes you sound good, makes you look good. That's the AT212. If you have any questions about the AT212, put them in the comments, and by all means, ask us anything. We're happy to hear from you. Thanks.